A plane carrying several young people enters a cloud that makes them trapped inside. The cloud is very black and thick. Even inside, they are attacked by terrible creatures. Until in the end, they all become victims of the monster's ferocity. At the beginning of the film, there is a family riding a small plane piloted by a female pilot. But their trip does not seem so good. The plane they are riding has problems when it is at a certain altitude. Even several times, their plane experiences shaking that makes the little boy a little scared. Meanwhile, the father named Taylor tries to continue to look relaxed as if the pilot can handle this problem until they actually land safely. But not long after, there is a plane that appears suddenly crashes into them. It is estimated that everyone there did not survive. Several years have passed. This young woman is looking at a photo of her mother who turned out to be the pilot who drove the Kevil plane. The young woman's name is Sarah. Not long after, Sarah gets a call from her father, who happens to be a colonel. Sarah will go with her friends to a music concert in a city that is quite far away. The father asks Sarah to be careful and drive her car well, because he was the only one she had. But it seems like Sarah lied to her father. She was actually at an airport. On the other hand, this couple named Mel and Sal, a couple that is almost inseparable. Then, not long after, another young man appeared named Corey. They are all friends of Sarah. They will go to a music concert together. But there is still one more young man named Bruce, the most nerdy young man who looks like he is also Sarah's close friend. They did not use land vehicles to get to their destination. It turns out they used a small plane at the airport. Sarah is the daughter of a colonel, and she was able to get access to fly the plane even though she had to lie to her father. They all looked excited, but Bruce was the opposite. He looked panicked when he saw and knew that they would use the air route. It seems like Bruce has a bad past with planes. Sarah tried to convince and calm him. This will be an exciting trip, and of course, we'll get to their destination faster. Everyone has entered the plane, and they are getting ready to fly. Assisted and guided by the tower, Sarah is getting ready to fly the small plane. They are all excited. Even Mel continues to record their every activity using her recording camera. And the one who can't keep quiet is Sal. He always has a way to not be quiet and always makes the atmosphere noisy. Unfortunately, not everyone likes what Sal does. The tower allows them to take off. Sarah pilots well and safely. Sarah is like an experienced person in this matter. Her friends did not expect that Sarah has access and can fly a plane. Their trip will take about an hour more. In order to pass the time, they try to find other activities. But one time Sarah takes her hand off the steering wheel. Sal, who sees it, feels scared and asks Sarah to focus. Sarah says her role will be replaced by Bruce. But as soon as Bruce holds the wheel, the plane loses balance. Since then, Sal doesn't trust her anymore. Sarah just wants to show them that Bruce can actually fly a plane, but maybe because he panicked, he wasn't ready. Because of that incident, Sal is really annoyed with Bruce. He takes his bag, then finds a comic. Sal mocks Bruce like a child who is still reading a comic book. He even tears one of the comic pages. But Bruce is not angry and just surrenders. A few minutes into the air, Sarah received information from the tower that they had to climb their plane or they would crash into the clouds. Unfortunately, when they did, a bolt came loose and caught on a part of the plane. As a result, Sarah lost control of the steering wheel. Inevitably, they couldn't climb the plane any higher and were ready to enter the dark black clouds. They didn't know what danger was lurking. Corey felt this would be a pretty serious problem, especially when entering the black cloud. The atmosphere became more tense, dark, and cold. Even the rain continued to pour down on their plane. How long would they be in the black cloud? The controls couldn't function properly. Even the radio didn't work. Sarah tried to contact the tower several times, but to no avail. She also heard a noise when changing frequencies. Inside the plane, they began to question Sarah's capacity to pilot the plane. Could Sarah really pilot it? Or maybe Sarah didn't even have a driver's license or permit to drive an airplane. Sarah asked Bruce for help using the manual. Luckily, Sarah could read it. Many indicators and panels didn't work since entering the black cloud. If it continued like this, they might run out of fuel. One way to reduce the load on the plane, they started throwing away some bags and items that might not be used much. The wind pressure outside was very strong. If they didn't close the door immediately, they might be sucked out of the plane. When she was about to close the door, Sal saw something terrible outside, similar to a long and terrifying octopus tentacle. What creature is that? The situation is getting more dire, and they are getting more panicked whether they will survive or not. What is clear is that there is only one parachute in the plane, but who will use it? Corey asked Mel to use the parachute, but Sal seems unwilling. Corey is upset because Sal indirectly sacrificed his own lover. So what about the others? This creates a conflict between Sal and Corey. Soon Bruce also panics. He even takes control from Sarah's hand. Sal and Corey will not let Bruce do that stupid thing, until finally Bruce is knocked unconscious by Sal and tied to the back seat. Sarah, who saw Bruce being treated like that as if she couldn't accept it, she felt this was too much. But Sal doesn't care. Or maybe Sarah likes Bruce? That nerdy kid? Now what they have to think about is how to get the control to work again. Sarah knows a little about the components of the small plane. There's a way they might be able to do it, but it's quite dangerous. Someone has to get out and force the tail wing to work again. Of course, it's a dangerous move, but it's the only way. There's number 100% guarantee of success, but at least they tried. In the end, Corey was the one who was going to get out. A rope was tied to Corey, then he was ready to jump out, held by Sal and Mel. At first, Corey couldn't be seen because the wind was very strong. But slowly Corey moved through the rope to move the tail of the plane. Corey tried many times until he finally succeeded. The bolt that was stuck was released and control was back in Sarah's hands. Now Corey had to struggle to grab Sal's hand so he could be pulled back into the plane. But unfortunately, his efforts failed. Corey and Sal's grip was released. The rope tied Sal's stomach, and strangely the rope led above them. There Sal saw the monster again. Not wanting to be a victim, Sal finally cut the rope, leaving Corey to be eaten by the monster. Sal couldn't save Corey, and he hid the incident from them. Bruce soon woke up and was shocked to see himself tied up. Then he asked where Corey was. At first no one answered, but Mel spoke up saying that Sal had killed Corey. He knew that Sal cut the rope and let Corey free. But it had already happened, and they wouldn't be able to turn back time. In the meantime, Bruce asked for his ties to be removed, but Sarah changed her mind. It was better that way. Sarah tried to talk to Bruce while asking about his past. Was it true that Bruce's parents died in a car accident? Unfortunately, Bruce lied. He said that Bruce knew Sarah's mother. How did he know? It turned out that the little boy on the plane was Bruce, the only survivor of the accident. Bruce also explained why he was interested in Sarah. Because Bruce thought Sarah's mother killed his parents. Bruce wanted to know Sarah's life. Of course, this shocked Sarah. There was no time to argue. Now how could they get out of the black cloud and contact the tower? Not long after their plane entered the monster's mouth, Sarah fainted. Luckily, their plane was already out of the monster's mouth. After Sarah, it was Mel's turn. She suddenly fainted and foamed from her mouth. Mel overdosed on the drug she consumed. Luckily, Bruce was able to bring her back to her senses, but a tentacle entered and took Mel. Strangely, the incident was similar to what was in Bruce's comic book. Sal blamed the incident on Bruce. Sal tried to hurt Bruce, but Sarah helped Bruce from behind. The door was still open, and Sal was sucked out. Sarah tried to hold him, but it was all in vain. Now only Sarah and Bruce were left. How would they get through this? Bruce explained that the comic book he brought was exactly the same as what they were experiencing now. Even the conversation was the same. Bruce began to realize that he was afraid that everything recorded in the comic would happen to them. The only way was for Bruce to fight his fear. They were as if in Bruce's fantasy world. Trouble was in sight. The monster reappeared and was now starting to show its form. Sarah tries an experiment. She kisses Bruce, and the atmosphere changes. There are no black clouds, and they return. But as soon as Bruce starts to get scared again, they return to the black clouds facing the monster. This time, Sarah is pulled by the monster. He asks Bruce to think about his parents, think about happy things. After doing that, Sarah survives. They return to the real world, even to the past. Their plane meets the plane that Bruce was on when he was a child, complete with his parents and Sarah's mother. They have the opportunity to change the past and the future. Bruce and Sarah turn the plane as hard as they can so that it doesn't crash. Since then, Sarah's family has remained intact, as has Bruce. That's where they get to know each other.